I'm Dr. Bonnie Tiell, and I am a full-time professor of management at Tiffin University in Ohio, Division II NCAA school. And I'm also part of the national faculty for the United States Sports Academy. Yeah, education obviously is important. That's the business we're in, but more so than with education is actual tangible training. When you talk about the sports industry, everyone talks about it's a male-dominated profession. Actually, a better term now is that it's a male-saturated profession because women are in there, they're doing great things. How did they get there? And education and training was obviously a part of their progression and ascension into leadership positions. You can't do anything. Even the men that are in leadership positions had plenty of training, plenty of education. But now it's anytime you have an underrepresented population, you talk about the pipeline and how to get into the pipeline, how to move people up. You remember that the NCAA was completely, women's sports was first introduced as a group in 1981. So before that, when it began in 1905, 1906, there was nothing but men there and men running the athletic programs. But obviously, it's much more diversified. You got about 20% of the athletic directors across the board are women. I see all the time more women that are getting great positions in leadership. And this goes to other segments of the sports industry as well. But training, you can't, if you expect someone to do perform certain job functions, to have the credibility, the experience, they cannot do it without the training. During the education and the training also, I think it is coupled with the important networking aspects that come with your educators, with other people in the program, with individuals. And that's part of, if you're going to increase the underrepresented population in sports, it is women, it is minorities. You look at the necessity to connect with the right people and have the networks, because jobs aren't just handed to you. It's handed to people that are competent, that are the best fit. If there is some type of unconscious bias, that's part of the education, is that these individuals, these women and minority women understand the unconscious bias. It would be nice to educate. We love when you have men in the room, when there's women and men hearing the same information. I'm just going to go off on another little thought or tangent. The NCAA and women's leaders in women's sports help with the Women's Leadership Symposium for Intercollegiate Athletics. It's a leadership symposium. It's for women in intercollegiate athletics. The content is not super special, top secret. Leadership is leadership. Whether you're a male or a female, you are getting the same training, the same information. However, this type of program, this type of education, this type of training that's segmented specifically for women is also addressing some of that unconscious bias that has to be overcome. But at the same time, men can be in the room hearing the same topics. That it's also important that these women and minority women are hearing from a diverse population. They're hearing from men, they're hearing from women, they're hearing from minorities, they're hearing from those that have been in the business 40 years, 5 years, to get different perspectives. But training is paramount. And when in the sports industry, anytime you're getting specific skill training, that's so important. And that's really, I remember back in the day that is what we wanted to do with our group of women that were in the Women's Leadership Symposium, is not only giving them a broad-based look, but segment them out according to positions. This was in intercollegiate athletics. So we segmented out business managers, athletic trainers, marketing professionals. And so that we put them in touch with those with professional skills and attributes to help with their training and mentoring. my journey was focused in, I was first generation college student, but I was focused in sport management. Undergraduate was physical education. Graduate degree was sports administration. Doctoral degree was sports management. So I was very in line and very focused. I think along the way, being open to accepting responsibilities, and I guess a personality trait to aspire to do more, to always give more, I got right and left brain pretty balanced. I like the critical side and the creative side. So I like to create, I like to start things, but I like to go through the process of critical application. My idea is I love bringing forth ideas and also having a business plan for it, or some type of plan, some type of template. I've learned to embrace when others can add value to it. So I work best alone, but the collaborative process always adds value, and that's important. So that's kind of how I progressed. I took some risks and some opportunities. I was fantastic opportunity to work at an entrepreneurial institution who and have the mentor that really inspired me. That's one of the things that had me, let's go ahead and create the Women's Leadership Symposium for intercollegiate athletics. Let's connect. Let's create the academic experience with Olympians. I mean, it starts with an idea. You get a plan. You have professionals that help add value to it. These enormous projects couldn't be done without the collaboration from other professionals, and that's what assisted with networking. That's what assisted my professional development. For instance, this virtual technology that we've embraced because of COVID. Alfreda Goff and I were conducting virtual committee meetings, monthly committee meetings since 2001, with a steering committee for the Women's Leadership Symposium. The committee spanned the United States. So we were very accustomed to using virtual technology and keeping meetings focused and getting work done in a collaborative environment, which was very important. But running those meetings and needing things like needing sponsorships and being able to connect with the commissioners at the Division I conferences, or that's what really assisted my professional development, alongside with the academic experience with Olympians. As I found, I believe I'm a collector of relationships. When people collect coins, I collect relationships. And somehow I developed a knack to leverage relationships. And when I meet individuals in the industry, I'm always thinking that reciprocal relationship. What can they help me out with the future? What can I help them out with the future? Get them in my back pocket. Where can I store their contact information? How can I invigorate the relationship if it needs to be? So that type of stuff is kind of, where my journey was. And obviously the education put me in the right spots to be able to progress forward. The education from attending conferences back as an undergraduate, if you remember the American Alliance of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, they had a state association. We went to the state association as students every single year. The most important thing that I did at that for those types of conferences was to meet other people. And I constantly wrote things down. I just constantly wrote. Every session that I attended, I wrote notes and revisited those notes. Another piece of my training, education, was back in the day when Women's Leaders was the National Association of Administrators for Women in Athletics, NACWA, throw collegiate in there, when they had the administrator training. And I believe their second cohort in 1999. They teamed with Higher Education Resources, and it was a week-long intense training, not just education, but it was pure out training. 7 days of scheduled activities from 7 or 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. Your downtime was even scheduled, where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. But that's what planted some seeds in my head of what I can be in the industry and what I can do. And actually, it was right after that training that I set out to help found the Women's Leadership Symposium with Alfreda Goff. It was because of the seeds that were planted in my head from that week-long intense training and how I could bring it forward to assist others and bring education and training to others, because it was vitally important to have those types of components in order to progress in the industry. Truly, I probably didn't understand the value of a mentor or what a mentorship relationship was supposed to be or was until probably graduate school or maybe even my doctoral program. As an undergraduate, it wasn't emphasized that you need a mentor, that you have a mentor. I was in the mid 80s, early 80s, and it wasn't, I think things happened by accident that, hey, I like what they're doing. I'm going to kind of follow what they're doing. I'm going to kind of emulate some of their behaviors, I suppose. The mentors does not have to be a formal relationship. It is just the connection. The next step is to create a formal relationship. That is absolutely wonderful and helpful. I don't believe it's necessary, but it's absolutely gratifying and purposeful and helpful, because when you have a mentor and it's a formal relationship, it may progress to the stage of being a sponsor where they advocate for you and they seek positions that you may be fitted to perform. They're looking out for you. They're feeding you job possibilities, openings, etc. But and again, it does not matter if it's a male or a female, or the age or position. You can have 5 mentors, you can have 1. And a lot of people say it's great now that a female should have a female mentor, or a minority should have a minority mentor. That's great. That's absolutely awesome. I look for behaviors more so than I look for demographic characteristics. What behaviors do I think are important in a mentor that's going to help me advance? I think that's what students need to know and look for. And I don't think, students have to understand the mentor is important, whether it's formal or informal. I encourage students and young faculty to be a sponge. Just always absorb information and to seek out opportunities at every turn over every stone, at every corner. Seek out opportunities where you can advance yourself in whatever way professionally. It may be your communication skills. It may be in creating special sports media relationships. Whatever it is, take that initiative, look for opportunities and execute it well.